Starting off our list at number 10 is Chris Hemsworth, also known as Thor. Yes, it is the end of an era for a lot of our favorite Avengers, and Thor is one of them. In March of 2019, it was reported that the superhero wouldn't be making his return to the MCU after Avengers Endgame. At the end of the movie, we saw a tribute to Chris and his character as Thor, which was our first indication that this really was the end for him. During an interview, he admitted that his contract with Marvel was up in 2019. All of his fans were hoping he would renew his contract, but he admitted that his character returning to the MCU for Avengers 5 is very unlikely. At number 9, we have Jeremy Renner, or as we know him as Hawkeye. Another iconic hero we won't be seeing in the MCU anymore. Fans are thrilled that he made his return in Avengers Endgame, and a big return at that. While he was shooting, he took some behind the scene photos to social media, which had people wondering just how much he would be involved in this movie. He actually played a huge part in the movie's plot, and by the end of the story, you know that his superhero days are over. Even after he retired, he came back for one final fight. And after losing his family once, he will never take that risk again. During an interview in 2014, Renner told the Daily Beast, and I quote, "I signed on to the Avengers 1 to 3 and then Hawkeye in case they wanted to do a Hawkeye spin-off. As for a solo movie, reports have stated that if there is one, it might not feature Renner." During April's Produced by 2018 conference, Digital LA tweeted that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige is working on different incarnations of characters you know. If that's what ends up happening, I think there will be some irritated Marvel fans. No one can replace Jeremy Renner. Am I right? Swiping the number 8 spot is Michael B. Jordan, also known as Killmonger. None of us needed convincing that he did an amazing job playing the part. He won great reviews for his performance, and some say he pretty much stole the movie from the lead Chadwick Boseman. However, in the Black Panther movie, his fate was unfortunately death. He and T'Challa battled to the end, and even when he had a chance to accept aid that might save his life, he refused. The death of the villain would conclude his story, so it's safe to say that he won't be in the MCU anymore. Although at the MTV Movie and TV Awards in June 2018, he did say he would reprise his role if there was a story that called for it. But for now, it's unfortunate, but his character is a goner. At number 7, we have Tom Hiddleston, known for his beloved character Loki. His character died in the last Avengers movie Infinity War, but many fans were skeptical if his character would somehow make a return. We did see him for a quick moment in the time travel scene in Avengers Endgame, which people in the theater went absolutely mental about. But he didn't play a big part in this movie's story. Unfortunately, there was no epic return like people were hoping. However, there is some good news. Loki may be gone from the MCU, but you can still catch him on the new Disney Plus streaming service that's coming out later this year. It was confirmed in November 2018 that there will be a live-action series centered around Loki, with Tom Hiddleston playing the part, of course. Although we won't be seeing him on Marvel's big screen, we can still watch him from home on Disney Plus. Coming in at number 6 is Don Cheadle, known for playing War Machine. He could have a cameo appearance in Falcon and the Winter Soldiers on the Disney Plus series, but War Machine getting a solo film or an invite into a future Marvel ensemble doesn't seem very likely. Like our other original Avengers, this last movie was the end of an era for his character. In Avengers Endgame, his character wasn't relevant enough to kill off, where it would have some massive implications. He did play a big part of this final movie as the original 6 Avengers teamed up one last time to take down Thanos, but this final battle really was the final one for Cheadle. Halfway through at number 5, we have Michael Douglas, the original Hank Pym, or Ant-Man as we know it. He was selected to play Hank Pym in 2015's Ant-Man, but instead, he was shown as being retired and mentoring Scott Lang to take over for him as Ant-Man. That's why we now know Paul Rudd as the new Ant-Man. While the majority of leading actors in the MCU signed multi-picture deals, Douglas didn't. He told Yahoo Movies in 2015, and I quote, "I'm not signed up to anything more." He went on to say that he really enjoyed the experience though, and would be happy to come back, which he did in 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp. However, the actor is now 74 years old and says that his Marvel chapter has closed. And at number 4 is Terrence Howard, who once played War Machine. Turns out he was actually fired from the role, and it was then given to Don Cheadle. Apparently Howard wasn't pleased with the suggested pay cut for starring in the Iron Man sequel. During an interview on Watch What Happens Live, he called out his co-star Robert Downey Jr. for stealing his spotlight. He said, and I quote, "It turns out that the person I helped become Iron Man, when it was time to re-up for the second one, he took the money that was supposed to go to me and pushed me out." He also went on to say that Marvel executives said the sequel will be successful with or without him, and offered to pay him 1/8 of his original salary. Howard still remains bitter, but continued to move on with his acting career. career. I think it's safe to say that he will remain out of the MCU. And at number 3 we have Chris Evans, also known for being the Captain America. This was heartbreaking news for everyone who watched Avengers Endgame, as we had to give another final goodbye to one of our originals. At the end of the Endgame movie, he decides to travel back in time and live out his life with the love of his life, Peggy. An older future version of Captain America hands over his shield to Falcon, confirming with us that it is he who will be the new Captain America. This was all perfect timing for Chris Evans' contract, which also came to an end this year. A tribute for the Captain was included at the end of the movie, and let me tell you, it was a painful goodbye. Here we are at number 2 with Gwyneth Paltrow, also known as Iron Man's wife, Pepper Potts. Even before her final performance in Avengers Endgame, she made it clear to the public that she was done with the MCU after this final movie. She speaks highly of her experience with the franchise, but says in an interview with Variety, and I quote, "I mean, I'm a bit too old to be in a suit and all that at this point." The 46-year-old actress says she would come back if they needed her for a day, but that her time with the MCU has come to an end. After watching the final movie, we get more confirmation that her story really is ending when she loses her tie to the whole franchise, Iron Man. Which brings us to number 1 with Robert Downey Jr., aka Iron Man. Yes, the legendary hero that we've admired all these years died in Avengers Endgame and broke the hearts of millions of fans. He too admitted in an interview that his contract with Marvel was up in 2019, but fans were hoping he would renew it. Killing Iron Man is an easy way to write off the character, but we were all hoping that wouldn't happen. During an interview with Bustle, the actor made a joke about his departure from the franchise and said, "I just want to hang up my jersey before it's embarrassing." Marvel fans could never get sick of the actor playing Iron Man, and we all know that there's no one who could replace him. Starting off our list at number 10 is Paul Bettany, the actor who took on the role as Jarvis and the Vision in the MCU. As Jarvis, he appeared in Iron Man 2, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, and then Avengers Age of Ultron. As the Vision, he was in Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America Civil War, and Avengers Infinity War. We saw his gut-wrenching death take place in Infinity War when Thanos got a hold of him. His love, Scarlet Witch, tried so hard to protect him and defend off Thanos, but sadly it wasn't enough. This left his character in a difficult place because even though the others who got dusted were brought back in Avengers Endgame, he did not, because his death happened before the snap took place. Endgame left us with a clear vision as to who is staying and who is leaving, and unfortunately, Bettany's character isn't even in the equation. At number 9 we have Tim Roth, who took on the role as Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination in The Hulk. The actor says he first accepted the role because his sons are huge comic book fans. They were probably hoping he would reprise his role in future Marvel movies after his first appearance, but sadly he did not. In 2008, the MCU was officially launched with Jon Favreau's Iron Man. Not even 1 month later, the second installment in the franchise hit theaters. It was Louis Leterrier's The Incredible Hulk, which starred a new cast with Edward Norton as the Hulk. Sadly, Roth wasn't asked to reprise his role. There were rumors going around that he would reprise his role in Avengers Age of Ultron, but the actor admitted it wasn't true and that it's very unlikely he'll ever appear in another Marvel movie again. During an interview, he said, I quote, "I don't think Marvel will ever use me again, but it would be fun." The character's disappearance is an unanswered question still in the MCU, but maybe one day we will get an explanation. Sliding into number 8 we have Christopher Eccleston. You may remember the villain from Thor: The Dark World called Malekith, but you may not have realized that hiding under all that makeup was Eccleston. The villain got titled one of the worst in MCU history, and the actor had no problem agreeing with it and admitted how much he hated playing the part. The role seems like it would be anyone's dream, but the actor has been very open about how much he hated working on the movie. He told BBC Radio 2 that he took on the role for the money but soon regretted it. He went on to say, and I quote, "Marvel was dishonest to me because they never ever let me know that there'd be that amount of makeup." The actor explained that his makeup process was 7 to 8 hours a day, which would begin at 4 a.m. During an interview with Digital Spy, he said the only reason he took the role was for the money, and to him that wasn't even worth it. During an interview with The Guardian, he was asked about his experience working on the movie, to which he replied with, "Just a gun in your mouth." I think it's safe to say he has officially left the MCU and probably won't be coming back anytime soon. Taking over the number 7 spot is Natalie Portman, known for playing Jane Foster in the Thor movies. She first made her appearance back in the MCU back in 2011 in Thor and returned in 2013 for Thor: The Dark World. But she sat out for the next Thor movie, where Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie stepped up as the new female lead. During the time that Infinity War was coming out, people were wondering if she would somehow make a comeback, but she never did. Fans were shocked to see her make a small appearance in Avengers Endgame just last week. The Avengers were able to travel back in time, and Thor got to once again see his love Jane. However, her character didn't make a comeback with plans to stay. As far as Natalie is concerned, she said she is done with Marvel, and not in a negative way, it's just facts. She told the Wall Street Journal back in 2016, and I quote, "As far as I know, I'm done. I mean, I don't know if maybe one day they'll ask for an Avengers 7 or whatever, I have no idea, but as far as I know, I'm done. It's a great thing to be a part of." Some fans are still hoping she somehow finds her way back into the storyline, not just a flashback, but for now we can consider her out of the MCU. At number 6 we have Alexis Denisov, the actor who took on the role of Thanos' servant called the Other in the Avengers movie. You may not have known who the actor actually was because of the mask, makeup, and the strange voice. Fans actually really enjoyed his character, but then he was killed off in Guardians of the Galaxy by Ronan. It was quite a brutal death too. Ronan actually snapped his neck. It would be hard to bring his character back because of the snapped neck, but also because Thanos was actually defeated in Avengers Endgame, so we still don't even know where he stands in the future of MCU. The actor said he would be thrilled to reprise his role, but knows that the chances are slim. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Michael Rooker, the actor who played Peter Quill's dad in the Guardians of the Galaxy. The actor first got hired for the movie because he was friends with the director James Gunn, but that didn't take away from the fact he was extremely talented and had a good performance. He did an excellent job at playing the short-tempered adoptive father. His character Yondu really stood out, and fans were sad when he died and then was buried. Although it would be exciting to have him reprise his role, Marvel admitted they already get hate from fans for constantly reversing or faking characters' deaths. When the actor was asked about reprising his role, he said, I quote, "It depends on how much I got paid. Of course I would totally love to do it again, it would be awesome. But with him being very much dead and buried, how would they make a legitimate story? I think it's safe to say that this chapter is closed." Coming in at number 4 is Liv Tyler, the actress who played the role of Betty Ross, aka the love of Banner's life, in the 2008 movie The Incredible Hulk. This movie was the first official part of the MCU, but in the grand scheme of things, it's often forgotten about since the Hulk was later replaced. Not a single one of the main characters returned to the MCU afterwards, including Liv Tyler. Fans believe it was obvious that Marvel tried to bury her character by introducing Natasha Romanoff as Banner's new love interest. Liv Tyler only appeared in 6 movies after her MCU appearance, all of them having low budgets and low profiles. In recent years, she's completely dropped off the radar, it seems, only making small appearances in TV series. Alright guys, at number 3 is Sean Tube, who played Yinsen in the Iron Man movie. Fans have gone online to write articles about how he is the real hero of the MCU. Yinsen was the scientist that was kidnapped with Tony Stark by the 10 rings in the beginning of the movie. It's him who kept Tony alive and also made a distraction while the future Avenger destroyed the weapons the organization had. Keeping Tony alive is enough to give him the status of a hero. This led up to his dramatic death when Tony is preparing to escape and he is killed by the 10 rings. Even though Sean is no longer in the MCU, his character and heroic story will continue to live on with Marvel fans. Here we are at number 2 with Damien Poitier, the actor who played Thanos in the Avengers and also had a small role in Captain America Civil War. He's one of the few actors who have portrayed multiple characters in the MCU. However, he was recast for the sequel and replaced by Josh Brolin, who we all know to play Thanos today. Damien made the brief mid-credits cameo in 2012's The Avengers and says he didn't know what he was doing until he was in the makeup chair on the day of filming. He said in an interview, I quote, "They kept it super quiet because they didn't want to put any spoilers out. I didn't find out until they were casting my face to do the sculpt. I thought I was going to be the Super Skrull." He did a great job at playing MCU's biggest villain, and no real reason was ever given as to why they replaced him with Brolin come the next movie. After his smaller role in Captain America Civil War, the actor moved on from the MCU and continued with his acting career and also some other stunt work. Taking our number 1 spot is Edward Norton, who took on the role of the Hulk in the original movie. A lot of Marvel fans are already aware of his battle when it came to writing the script for The Incredible Hulk. The movie itself turned out okay, but the filming process was apparently a chaotic mess. The actor originally turned down the role as the Angry Green Giant, but later on accepted it on the assumption that any changes he made to the original screenplay would be included in the final cut. However, he heavily re-edited it, and it was chaos trying to combine it with Zack Penn's original writing. Although fans may have liked the movie, it's been reported that Marvel hates it. This led them to replace Norton with Mark Ruffalo when it came time to film The Avengers. The studio even issued a statement regarding the new casting announcement and and said they preferred an actor, and I quote, who embodies the creative and collaborative spirit as our other talented cast members. Norton and his management team were offended by the statement and said they didn't agree with it in any way. He has never returned back to the MCU, nor has he ever been asked. Starting off our list at number 10 is Anthony Hopkins, the actor who has the most acting experience on the MCU roster. Throughout his entire acting career, he's earned 2 Emmys, 3 BAFTAs, and has an Academy Award under his belt. Hopkins joined the MCU and the cast of Thor back in 2011, taking on the character of the god named Odin. 2 years after that, he reprised his role for Thor: The Dark World, but didn't seem all that excited about the results of the movie. At the Disney convention in August of 2013, he said, and I quote, "I haven't seen the movie and I've forgotten about it." However, he still went on to return in 2017's Thor: Ragnarok, where he brought Odin's story to a final end. No, he didn't die of old age, he faded away into the wind in the most dramatic way possible. And at number 9 is Idris Elba, who first played the beloved Heimdall in 2011's Thor movie, then reprised his role in The Dark World, Age of Ultron, and Thor: Ragnarok. Fans' hearts were shattered when Heimdall was killed off in Infinity War at the very beginning of the movie. Not only him, but they also lost iconic Loki in the same scene. While speaking with The Wrap, Marvel president Kevin Feige was asked about how emotional it was to say goodbye to 2 characters that are so important to the Thor franchise. His response was, "You have to imagine it's emotional as they go through scenes that either represent some sort of curtain dropping or just scenes that allow them to reflect on how far they've come. Fans were just as emotional to see the curtain close on this character." Taking our number 8 spot is Kat Dennings, a successful actress who is known for her current CBS sitcom Two Broke Girls. But the hilarious actress is also known in the MCU for her role as Darcy Lewis in the Thor franchise. Over the year, Marvel has found a way to make the legendary hero Thor a comedic character. By doing this, he had to have some help from other funny supporting characters that he could play off of. Kat Dennings' character stands out as one of the more notable supporting actors of the bunch, which is why it's unfortunate we haven't seen her since Thor: The Dark World in 2013. Her character didn't continue with the future stories, and fans were upset that she seemed to be written off. They were hoping to see her in Infinity War as rumors were spreading, but it was later confirmed that she wouldn't be making her return to the MCU like fans had hoped. In our number 7 spot is Josh Dallas, who first appeared as Fandral in the Thor movie, starring alongside Chris Hemsworth for the first time. He was offered to reprise his role for the sequel, but sadly had to decline due to other commitments. At the time, he had other commitments to ABC's Once Upon a Time, so he revealed that he was unable to take on the role once again. The actor opened up to Entertainment Weekly about the decision, saying, and I quote, "The timing wasn't right. I'm bummed about it because I had such a great experience and a great time making the first film and was really excited about coming back." It was reported that Marvel and Disney tried really hard to make it work, but he was unable to do both of them. He was upset that he had to hand over the reins to someone else, but said he'd be the first in line to see the new movie. What a good sport. Swiping the number 6 spot is Dominic Cooper, who first played Howard Stark in Captain America's first outing in 2011. The actor was thrilled to join the MCU, but his time in the universe didn't last as long as he had hoped. His character was replaced for Captain America: Civil War. When he first took on the role, the movie was set in the 40s, so he was portraying the character as a young man. However, when Iron Man 2 came out, the new version of Howard Stark was much older. This is when they decided to replace the actor with John Slattery taking on the role instead. Cooper didn't hold any grudges and speaks openly about sharing the character. When he sat down for an interview with Cinema Blend, he was asked about what he thought about Slattery being an echo to his character. He responded with, "We don't look anything alike at all. But there's a certain energy about him, a style of what he's portraying, how he's doing the character, which maybe we have an essence of in common." You have to wonder why he didn't sign a multi-picture deal like most of the other actors did, and he said he was relieved that his commitment wasn't extreme. He said, "I think I escaped that. I can't see how they're going to use him again as a young man." Halfway through our list at number 5 is Hayley Atwell, the actress who played Peggy Carter, who won the heart of Captain America and also many MCU fans. She's been in the Marvel Universe for years now, when her character was first introduced in Captain America: The First Avenger back in 2011. Fans were bummed when Agent Carter, a TV show series, was cancelled in May 2016. However, it turns out the actress was fine with it. She told interviewers that she was ready to say goodbye to Peggy Carter and Marvel Studios when the TV show's pink slip arrived. In December 2018, she told Huffington Post that she never even watched Infinity War. She explained that she's only recognized for her role as Peggy rather than her other acting work like Howard's End. But as much as the actress is ready to focus on other work, she did surprise fans by showing up in Avengers Endgame. You get to see her for about 60 seconds in flashback scenes, but it still had the audience losing their minds. With Captain America officially passing along his shield at the end of Endgame, there's no story left for Peggy Carter's in the MCU. Sliding into the number 4 spot is Sam Rockwell. The actor first appeared in the MCU when he took on the role as Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2 back in 2010. By the end of the movie, we saw his character get arrested and jailed for his crimes. Many fans expected that to be the last of him, but he later appeared in 2014's All Hail the King, which was actually the last time fans saw him. His character was never continued in the story, and Rockwell is pretty bummed about it. The actor opened up in a recent interview on April 14th of this year and said that he would love to take the part again. He said, and I quote, "Yeah, I would be happy to do it. I'm just waiting on the Avengers to give me a call." As far as the story stands, his character is still incarcerated at Seagate Prison, so any appearances going forward would mean he would have to break out somehow. The chances are slim, but let's all cross our fingers for Sam to get his role back. Alright guys, at number 3 we have Tim Blake Nelson, who played the scientist named Samuel Stearns in The Incredible Hulk. Fans of the Hulk comic books weren't surprised to learn that Mr. Blue, who was the mystery man Bruce Banner can only contact through instant messages, was in fact the scientist. In the comics, Samuel Stearns is also the alter ego of Hulk's nemesis, the Leader. In 2011, the actor told the Playlist that he was still under a contract to do more films with Marvel, which fans were thrilled for since his character's story was so unique. That's probably because the chances of another Hulk movie looked way better back then than they do now. Mark Ruffalo, who became the new Hulk, told Variety in 2017 that a solo film will never happen. Without another solo Hulk movie, the chances of Nelson returning to the MCU are slim. At number 2 we have Cate Blanchett, known as the Goddess of Death in Thor Ragnarok. She was the first female main villain in the MCU, and she was revealed to be Odin's secret firstborn child, Hela. She tried to take over Asgard after the former king died. Her plans of destruction were ruined when Thor teamed up with Loki and took her down. She was defeated, but it's still not clear what happened to her after Asgard was destroyed. Rumors started that Blanchett would be returning to the MCU to team up with Thanos and defeat the Avengers in Endgame. Clearly that never happened, and the actress admits in a fandom interview that although we only saw her character go down in a giant flame, she looked pretty dead to her. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Ben Kingsley, also known as Iron Man 3's fake-out villain named Trevor Slattery. His character became one of the biggest plot twist elements of the entire MCU. The actor's performance of the false Mandarin stands out as one of the most shocking scenes in MCU history. Some fans love him while other fans hate him. At one point there did seem to be a bigger plan for the character, but Marvel Studios just seemed to have moved on from that particular storyline. It's a hard pill to swallow because we know the real Mandarin is out there somewhere, but we don't expect to see Trevor show up anytime soon.